reminded me of this. Thereby, some of us have entertained angels unaware. Don't quote me, it may not be Hebrews, but it's still that whole thought of be kind to everyone, for you don't know what they've been through. And they may be the very angel that's looking out for you today. So in this beautiful space, I invite you to close your outer eyes. And take a nice breath in. Let everything before you entered these doors be at rest. And let's take another breath. Gently releasing. Maybe you feel that breath tingle all the way down to your toes. And feel your body fully supported in the chair that you're in. Today is a day of celebration. We are on the very cusp of the fall or autumnal equinox. This was a treasured time in the day of the pagans. A harvest of all the seeds and foods and fruits they had planted. And we look at that metaphysically. All of the intentions we set at the beginning of the year, all of the ideas we planted, all of the new things we tried, the vision of our new fellowship hall. It's all becoming a reality as we let go of the old. For some, that brings sorrow because it was comfortable in what we knew. And yet we know our growth expands more than ever before. And we have choice to sit in that expansion, that knowledge, that creation, and just allow it to wash over us for new possibilities, to discover our own truth, to walk a deeper path in our spirituality, to go deeper in what we call God. And we do that with like-minded beings sharing in teachings and song, in music, in ideas. So we're going to take a few moments in the silence and just rest. Let that fall wash over you as we're entering a winter time of rest. As the days grow shorter and the nights grow longer, there's a reason that we rest and replenish. So let's take this time in the silence. as you gently bring your consciousness back into this room, I invite you to do some house cleaning. If there's any static within you that needs to work on forgiveness, I invite you to do that. Whether that forgiveness is for another person not showing up how you wanted them to, or for yourself, maybe not showing up how you expected yourself to do. This time of releasing is for all of us. This time of knowing our own truth and being real and honest about it is for all of us. So be gentle as the earth is softening and some of the flowers are closing and resting for the winter. Be gentle as you go into the underground, germinating new seeds that are bathing in the dark. For when you are ready, the light will shine, and we will be replenished. And for this, we are grateful. We are grateful. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
And now for something completely different. I got the email most of you got about what the message would be this week. And the header was the autumnal equinox. And I thought, this got a nice ring to it, so I'll try to do something with that. So I worked up an idea and ran it by Reverend Tracey. She said, go ahead and do it. So this is probably the first and last time the song will ever be performed. It's to the tune of Gilligan's Island. We are on the precipice of the autumnal equinox, or Maybon, and if you don't know what that means, you'll learn when Tracey talks, when Reverend Tracey talks. So you've heard it said that what we sow we reap, so it's only fair. What goes around comes back around to bite us in the derriere. There's no one else, there is no one else to blame. It all comes back to us. I think I just did that one, excuse me. There is no one else to blame. It all comes back to. So take responsibility about this, we'll discuss. By now we should have realized our thoughts become our things. This really is some very good news, a hopefulness that it brings. Given the gift of God, we are creators just the same. Watch your thoughts and words and deeds and make love what you proclaim. Make love what you proclaim. It's really not that difficult, just be what you would see. Choose the joyful and peaceful thoughts that bring you harmony. Let's celebrate the good and keep our focus up on high. Like Jimi Hendrix said, excuse me while I kiss the sky. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Da 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 dun da 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 dun dun dun. Happy autumnal equinox, or should I say Maybon?
Carol. Sometimes we just get too serious in here, and we got to have a little levity. So that was beautiful. Thank you. That was fun. That was fun. And I like what you're saying about just kiss the sky. Be grateful. When you woke up this morning and the sun is shining, there's a little bit of coolness. And I came out to here and had to be very careful about our outdoor area so nobody gets hurt. And I walked over there because I'm taking pictures as we're progressing through the demolition. And I'm looking at what we're seeing coming down, and then the clearing of our new beginnings of an outdoor chapel, and the new green gardens and the berm out there. So within that destruction that has to change form, there is beauty all around it. And I'm thinking when we're talking about the lessons that we learn, when Terrell's up here talking about peace and harmony and finding that joy, for us in Unity, that's what we teach the Christ light is that we are finding balance, peace, harmony, joy, and we're sharing it with each other. We're sharing it with each other. So I had to look up what the fall equinox is. I have some of my own ideas. So this isn't necessarily Unity teachings, but it does come from the divine feminine. And there was a day and a time when the town people would gather and they would bring that harvest to the table. And oftentimes they would celebrate with an apple. An apple. You've heard an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, the belief was that the apple is longevity. The apple is healing and healthy and whole. And if you cut that apple in half, have you ever noticed the picture it makes is a pentagram? And people get all freaked out and say, oh, that's a devil sign. Originally, that was a sign of the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and spirit. And the round circle around the 5-pointed star is the wholeness of creation, the fullness of life. And of course, you know, those original witches were healers. They were healers. But at some point in time, the patriarchy came in and had to discredit them. But today, we still look at this precious fruit as something that is wholesome and healthy for us. So I was baking on Friday, and you are welcome to have apples and apple breads. The only thing that has nuts are the muffins. So if you can't do nuts, don't eat the muffins. But everything else is up for grabs after service. Thinking about that, if we go back into the Garden of Adam and Eve in the very early days, again, this is not biblical teachings and this is not Unity teachings. This is a translation from the divine feminine. So she enters this garden and she's talking to the serpent. And the serpent says, oh, you may not eat of this particular tree because why? And Eve says, well, God said it would bring us death. Not all the trees in the garden, but this particular tree in the garden. And the serpent said, well, if you eat of the fruit of that tree, you will know both good and evil like God. Ooh. Part of that is Bible translation. So I looked that up and I thought, okay, so what is Eve telling us? What do we learn from eating of that fruit? Do we learn the godliness of good and evil? Good and error? How do we translate that? As we move forward into our greater understanding, is that not a form of wisdom? Sometimes comfortable, sometimes not. The equinox is about balance, the balance of light and dark, the feminine, the masculine. It is about our inner work balancing with that outer work. So you have the right to read Genesis chapter 3 as you will, but I just invite you to look at it in a different eye. that what is true for you comes through your own discernment. And the wisdom, we've all been called gods, we teach and talk that we are in and of the same likeness, which means we know good and error. We have those same qualities within us. I'm borrowing something from my daughter for our Harry Potter fans, which may be online as well as in here. But we have a wand, children. And as we are looking and reflecting on what this year has been so far, I want to take you on a little journey and ask, which house of Harry Potter do you resonate with? The first one is Gryffindor. Are you known for your bravery? I love that little girl with the pigtails from Kansas City. What is her name? Dorothy. Dorothy and that little dog Toto. Do you remember what she said when she met the lion? I'll remind you. You're nothing but a great big coward, Dorothy sternly said to the cowardly lion when she first met him in the woods with Scarecrow and the Tin Man. My question to you, my babies, my pretties, what have you tried new this year? What did you step out in courage to do this year? So much of our fear is false evidence appearing real. You know that, right? These old messages that get stuck in our minds, they are our story that we choose to stay a part of. Those dysfunctional relationships, not being able to tell your adult kids no, and simply standing up for ourselves. Do you know the root word of courage is cor, which is Latin for word for the heart? So in its original form, the word meant to speak one's mind while telling one's heart. At the beginning of this year, back in January and February, I did a conversation class to help some of our folks on their path to being a licensed Unity teacher, and we looked at nonviolent communication, and we looked at crucial conversations, how to say those hard things, but do it with heart. Do it with heart. Courage is an inside job. Do you remember what the lion received to remind him he had courage? He received a medal. And the lion had wrapped that medal around his neck as an outside symbol. And it really had nothing to do with developing that inner strength that he needed to know he was brave. Courage requires us to look deep inside, even in those times of being uncomfortable, but to make a heart decision. We talk about that a lot in Unity. Get out of the head. We talked about Charles Fillmore. He's our heady person, our intellect. And then we go into Myrtle, the heart of unity. Because together is our balance, the light, the dark, the inner, the outer. So when you're making a really big decision, some of us are really comfortable in the head. So breathe down into that heart space and see if they're in alignment. That's where true courage comes from. So maybe you're a house of Ravenclaw, the intelligence. Are you smart ones out here? Did you create something this year? Did you lay the foundation for something this year? Such as maybe our building changing form? What have you done this year to use your intelligence? Did you take a class? Did you do discerning your purpose with Reverend Marilyn? Yes. And if you have not found where you want your class to be, we know you will sign up for the fall program. Yes, ma'am. You will find the 5 agreements and be able to tell me what they all are by December. Yes? So have you done something this year to deepen your spiritual path? This is our time of reflection, our time of discernment. What are we doing coming to church? What are we doing in unity? What are we doing to deepen our own spiritual path? What tools do we have for transformation, like forgiveness and prayer, compassion, feeling? But you could be from the house of Hufflepuff. That's all about empathy. You know, those feeling things. Have you worked on your forgiveness this year towards yourself or someone else because they did not show up how you wanted them to? Have you worked on finding common ground with someone you used to be close to and you are no longer? Do you need a healing to take place, physically, mentally, spiritually? Have you worked on your prayer this year? And if not, I suggest you join the prayer chaplains. Kevin will tell you all about it. Have you worked on your connection to the collective consciousness? Are you holding the high watch for everyone on this planet? Or have you joined the house of Slytherin, the house of ambition? What did you set in motion this year that is coming to maturity? When we do our small group studies for the fall, we have a new component. It is one of service. And each group, including those online, will do something in service for the betterment of Unity of Palm Harbor and our friends. And we will be very creative about it. For there is nothing that we cannot achieve when we are supporting one another. So I invite you to really sit in the energy of what do I want to create, and make a list of those goals to either be done at the end of this year in the next quarter or to do them in the new year. This is what the winter time is. This is the darkness. It's not a place of fear. It's not a place that we're afraid of. It is a place that we begin to germinate seeds. Have you ever truly taken just a tiny little seed and planted it in the dirt, and maybe you put it someplace in the house because it's not time to be outside? Maybe you did it with your child when they were young, and then you see that little green beginning to pop up. And when it's strong, you plant it in the bigger surface. So if you don't know how to get your hands dirty, and you live in an apartment or a condo, we have a full 5 acres for you. And as soon as the demolition is complete, you are welcome to come put your hands in our dirt. It's very healing. And we have some weeds. So when you're looking at the bigger picture in service, what have you done to help create family in our membership here, whether you're technically a member or not? What are you doing in service to help the greater collectiveness in our church family? We still would like some help in the bookstore. Wednesday nights, once a month. See Dee Dee. Have you wondered what is A Course in Miracles? Alicia and Comfrey do a magnificent job on Wednesday mornings. Would you like to get more in touch with your mind, body, and spirit? Come do yoga with us Thursday mornings. Come Wednesday night for these experiential meditations. And you know where you're going to be on the fall equinox. 7 o'clock, right here in the parking lot. Bring water. We're going to have fire. We have a wonderful member of our congregation, and she's really spending a lot of time. How is she going to present to you the fall equinox? She has a wonderful friend who does the didgeridoo, and I believe she's even asked Kimmin to tell us a story. Is that true? And for those of you who know what a magnificent storyteller Kimmin is, you'll want to come be here at 7 o'clock. And just in case you wonder what your board is doing that night, we are ending 10 minutes early. because we're going to be part of the saging and the ceremony and just enjoying the gift that is being brought to all of us. So let me recap what we've been listening to today. We began with the meaning of the fall equinox, and we moved into the garden. We looked back at our year for what we have done: bravery, intelligence, empathy, ambition. And we are ending with dancing in the thoughts of what our goals and our seeds for germination might be for the new year. And we're going to close with a beautiful writing. All I need from you: 1, 2, or 3. Say it now.
3.
I heard 3. You know, I can't always choose, so you guys have to help me. And this is a great book we have in our bookstore, The Book of Awakening, Mark Nepo. This is what you chose. What we hold dear. What we hold dear can heal our world. There is an ancient story of a group of pilgrims searching for the Holy Land. They wandered for days to the bank of a very wide river. It was too deep to cross, and there was nothing to build with. One of the pilgrims prayed for guidance, and a voice appeared, urging each to give up something they held dear. From this, they could build a raft. For only that which they held dear would be strong enough to hold them up as they crossed into the Holy Land. There was immediate conflict and suspicion. The one who heard the voice was accused of trying to steal what mattered most to everyone. Finally, 4 of the stranded pilgrims agreed. Each offered what seemed useless to the others: a stone, a feather, a piece of driftwood, a page from a book no one understood. Mysteriously, as they slept, the dearness they had placed in those things flowed together, and they woke to find a magnificent raft. Once on the other side, the one who gave up the feather heard another voice. It said that the Holy Land is right where they landed. The 4 pilgrims settled on that bank within view of the others who would not cross. That night, they burned the raft to cook their food, and the voices told them the Holy Land is wherever what you hold dear holds you up and then turns to food. The wisdom carried in this ancient myth is that what we fear is the most private mysteriously belongs to everyone. Have you ever done shadow work? Though it is, once shared, the things we hold dear release a power that is healing. This is not to say that we should give up what is healing us in the midst of its becoming dear to us. Rather, the story urges us to relinquish personal icons so that they may continue to heal others. And they talk specifically about an individual who had something of precious to that individual and believed it created a healing. And when someone this person knew was themselves in a place of needing healing, she gave away what was dear to her. She gave away what was dear to her so that her belief system might be shared with another and holding that common ground for healing. I have since, when the time proved right, given away other precious things I have lived with. Crystals and books and personal treasures I have long enshrined. For only in use do they again become healing. It is the giving of what is dear that helps each one of us cross the river. So before we end, in just a moment, we're going to bring Bridget in here. And for those of you who know Bridget, can I get one of our ushers to go in there and get ready to round Bridget up, please? Bridget has been with Unity of Palm Harbor for 26 years. In 2017, she was recognized by Unity Worldwide Ministries for her talent with the children and her devotion and her commitment. So we're going to have children coming in, And Terrell, you and Michelle, you guys are all going to do this, right? Some music to bring the children in. And then Terrell has a special song, and then we have a little presentation she doesn't know about yet. Bring the children.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
So I'm going to invite Miss Bridget to come up here on stage. She knows something's happening, just not exactly what. So I'm going to let Terrell sing a song, and then I'm going to make a presentation.
You're going to sing a song? Okay. That sounds good to me.
I call this one Miss Bridget. Written especially for you. She's been here for quite a while. Now, Reverend Tracey and Miss Bridget were talking one day, and I thought I overheard Miss Bridget say, I like to dance to my own drum, I like to sing my own song. Reverend Tracey smiled and said, what's with those shoes you got on? She said, a strange sense of humor around here. And it's true, she likes to do her own dance with those purple in her hair and the jeany pants. Not so much anymore, but she had a lot of purple hair. But she's quick with a smile and even quicker to laugh, most definitely walking her own path. Yes, she's a strange, but it's a strange situation right here. Bottom line, she's a teacher extraordinaire, even with the funky clothes and the colorful hair. The children all love her, and it's easy to see she's raised a whole generation here at Unity. But it's a strange, loving sense of humor around here. Now they say it's been 26 years, but you would never know it. The kids she's grown up with her sure do show it. That's a lot of classes, and she's got a lot of class, and she still has a pretty good sense of humor. Now because of her, the world's a better place, and you can see it in the kids and the smiles on their face. She's teaching them the truths that will serve them well. Yeah, she's the real deal, anyone can tell. Brings a lot to the game, and a strange sense of humor around here. She brings a lot to the game, and it just wouldn't be the same without Miss Bridget.
Well, we're not even done yet.
Oh my God.
Come on up here to the front. Make sure she's got some light on her. So actually at this time, Bridget has been here longer than anybody else at Unity of Palm Harbor, except maybe Kimmin. She's outdone one minister and working on a second. And what I want to do, in all honesty and all sincerity, when I got involved in Unity, it was with the children first. So this is near and dear to my heart and everything that you've done for them. And when I first came, Bridget walked in my office and she said, well, if I wasn't doing it, who would do it? And I said, Bridget, I don't know. I'm new here. And I thought about, Myrtle Fillmore said, who will answer the call? Who will answer the call to teach our children? So we are going to present you with, Myrtle Fillmore asked, who will care for the children? And you answered, I will. In gratitude for your service since 1996, love, Unity of Palm Harbor.
Thank you. Thank Thank you, thank you.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Wow, that's really sweet.
Well, I will say, too, that Bridget not only answers the call to help with the children, but I got a little stranded on Friday and said, I have this big monster dogs and I need some help. She goes, I got you. So she might be 100 pounds soaking wet. And my big Great Pyrenees is 130 pounds, fully dry. And she took care of him for me while I went to a conference. So thank you again, Bridget, for all your generosity.
Thank you.
And with that, let's see, we're looking at, are you okay? You come up and do the blessing? And then we'll do the peace song? Yes? Okay. We just did it.
All right, now we will have our traditional offering prayer blessing. So together we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So I want you all to notice, too, and this happened to us, I think, Thursday, not such a friendly thing, but someone pretending like me reached out to a number of people in our congregation and asked for money. I just want you to know it was not me. By the way, I have a Georgia phone number, so they screwed up. But I want you to know I will never personally ask you for donations for me for any cause without you knowing it in a public arena. If there was some special event going on, we would tell you. I am never going to ask you to go get gift cards and give the money to a phone number. And it happened, the phone happened to a few of our members, but hopefully no one gave into it. So stay educated, stay smart. If it doesn't sound true or you have a doubt, call me. It's probably not. So we're going to hold the high watch for everybody that we make the right and perfect decisions, and we're going to release those people who are not in the same window we are.